The team right now, we're 100 days out. So are there any areas of concern for you, biggest areas of concern as you look at this team 100 days out from the start of a World Cup?
I guess goalkeeper. And as much as, Matt Freese has kind of solidified himself in, and we would all think Matt Turner's the number 2 in terms of quality. It's not a position where you're saying, wow, look at the depth. And we have a Brad Friedel starting in the Premier League. We have a Casey Keller starting in the Premier League or the Bundesliga. And our third string is, let's say it's Brad Guzan or Tony Miola. And you're like, World Cup experience and guys who are, this is not a deep position. So if there's ever a position that I'm going, it's not that convincing, it's the goalkeeper position. And then right in front of them is the center backs.
Yeah.
Could you, Chris Richards has done an incredible job of solidifying himself within the team and Crystal Palace and playing every week in the Premier League and getting challenged. And you've naturally seen his growth. It's been tremendous with his distribution and his timing, knowing when to come up.
Right? I like his consistency.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get like a 7 out of 10 from him every game.
He's a good guy, leadership. He's got all those qualities. But everything around him, you're not so sure. It feels like the right center back in this back 3, fluid 4, however you want, how many times we're going to hear fluid 4.
Sure.
But Alex Freeman is now looked at as that right center back, but he's not a center back. He excels as a right wing back, but you have Destin Weah there, and you could throw McKinney there as well. You could throw a number of other people there, and then there's Freeman. And the left center back spot is Tim Ream. And we know what he brings and consistent, but so far in this MLS season, you're going to see Charlotte are not the Charlotte that they were last year. And therefore Tim Ream may have to do things that he probably didn't see himself having to do, which then exposes him. And now you might have the public questioning Tim Ream, but I think Pochettino and Tim Ream know where they lie and the expectation. So then after that, you're saying, is it Mark McKenzie? Is it Miles Robinson? Is it, and so I think those are the 2 areas where we probably have some concerns.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And then Cello, I want to get your thoughts. I think there's a good problem happening, if there's such a thing as a good problem, but we have all of our strikers scoring, Chuck, right? Balogun scores again this past weekend, and so does Haji Wright. And we'll get into their performances a little bit later in the show. That's a good problem to have. We have a luxury of options in different areas of the field. Goalkeeper, I hadn't really thought about that. I was always let that area be big tones, but center backs is worrying, Cello. And I feel like with Tim Ream in particular, not a great weekend for him. Charlotte gave up 3 goals in the first 15 minutes against the Galaxy. His center back partner wasn't great in that one, so he got a little isolated, Tim Ream. But and again, for me, it's not. I feel like we live in a world, Cello and Chuck, where it's all black and white. If he has a crappy game, he's out of the World Cup roster. That's how everything feels these days, as opposed to the nuance that I think comes with it. But it's a bit of a red flag. He's not looking as sharp as he could be. However, in the way that Charlotte like to play, he's a little more. At times he can get isolated. Whereas I think if we play the 3 fluid 4, then there's a little bit more protection for him. I think because he's got players a little bit closer to him, unless our wingback starts bombing forward and he gets isolated in that kind of channel of the field. So ultimately, I'm not worried about Tim Ream, but it is a red flag that things aren't starting well for him in MLS. Miles Robinson hasn't been off to a flying start either at FC Cincinnati. Chris Richards has lost. The Crystal Palace in general have lost a little bit of their momentum after selling all of their players and not bringing anybody in, and their manager wanting to leave and everything that comes with that. So, and then Freeman isn't an out and out, so all of a sudden you're like, all right, what do we do here? What do I do with my hands? Like, I don't know what to do at times where it feels like we get into more of the, I hope this works out, as opposed to knowing it's going to work out. And that's a bit of a worrying concern, I'd say, 100 days out.
Yeah, let me just start with Tony's in charge of goalkeepers, but I agree with Charlie. When I played, listen, it was Brad Friedel, Casey Keller, Tony Miola. I didn't have a problem. Yeah, that's pretty deep. And then from there, you got Tim Howard, who came in along with Brad Guzan. So we've always had this depth in goalkeepers. I think this is the first time in our history, we'll say, that we're questioning a goalkeeper, because we weren't questioning it 2 years ago with Turner, correct? Are we all on the same page? The last World Cup when no one was questioning it.
He was a clear number 1.
Now we're questioning that. That concerns me, because in a World Cup, you rely a lot on a goalkeeper. You do. Then you move into the center back role. Okay, listen, I understand Tim Ream didn't have his best game, and it's happened to you, Charlie. It's happened to you, Jimmy. I mean, we have bad games before the World Cup, but I'm not concerned about the bad game. I'm concerned how easy Klaus, not a speedster like Nelson or someone, Klaus beat him and put it in the back of the net. That concerns me because that showed that if he does get isolated, and we saw it in Gold Cup against, and I remember who it was in the first game, I think it was Trinidad, he got turned really quick and they almost scored. And I'm sitting there going, okay, now I'm starting to watch individual play. It doesn't matter who's next to him is, can he slow down the game? Can he delay the game? Can he get help? I think right now he's not going through his best moment, but who else do we have as an option? Freeman is an option to play right, but who's left-footed? Who's got a left foot that can do what Tim Ream's doing? So my concern for this national team, 100 days away, are the three center backs, because Richard is going to have to rely on the two guys to the left and to the right of him. Let's be honest. Jedi's going to attack. Let's be straight honest. If Jedi's in and this wing back, he's going to go. So does that mean we leave Tim Ream isolated again? We do. So
I guess
my areas
just to jump in on that really quick, Cello, is that at least there's a pretty long history between Jedi and Ream, thanks to their time together at Fulham. So I like, if we were playing FIFA right now, there'd be like, you're building your ultimate team, there'd be like a green line between Ream and Jedi. But go ahead, keep going.
No, but in a World Cup, you've both, we know this, low block, mid block. So there's not a lot of room. You know, you lose it, you drop. You don't high press, you drop. So I think you'll be okay. If it was first choice for me, I wouldn't want Tim Ream at 38 in that position. I'd want a 25, 26-year-old, which we don't have, left-footed. But like I said, the two concerns for me is that back line and the goalkeeper. Those are the two biggest.
And Cello, I was going to say, but in a World Cup against Australia and Paraguay, we're not going to be in a low block. And especially unless you're saying, hey, Australia, let's throw them off and sit in a low block because they don't have the creative playmakers, and then we're just going to counter on them. But they're smart. They know they're going to say, come.
But in a World Cup, the first game is what? Make sure you don't lose, right? That's the mentality of the first game. The second game is, okay, now we can go take a chance. We got to get some points, but we're still not risky. You get risky in that third game. So, I do see the U.S. when they lose it, maybe dropping into low block, get their teams to come so they can hit them quickly with their counters. But every game is tactically, you can't go into the first game thinking you're going to high press. We beat them already once. We're going to beat them again. That's the wrong mentality.
Yeah. You can't.
You know what I mean? So I think it will be. Yeah, exactly. So I think it will be more of a low block.
We better get after them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, look at how the U.S. played against Uruguay at home in this 5-1 win.
Yeah.
They went after them. They could have easily just said, hey, let's sit back and counter.
But if they're friendly, there's no repercussions.
Right.
It's not the same as a World Cup game. When you walk out on that field, you know you need to accumulate points. You know what I mean? So it's different playing in a friendly against Paraguay than playing against them in a World Cup. They're not going to open up as much as they opened up. Australia, listen, I went to the Australia game. Australia sat back in a 5-4-1. I sat there like, okay, it's a friendly. Why? You know what I mean? Will they do that? 100% they're going to do that again. So,
and it's going to be even harder in a World Cup.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. You got to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. So if you want more average to good content, then you know where to go find it. Go peruse our channel, then hit like, then hit subscribe, and of course, turn on your notifications so that you never miss a show. We'll see you next time.